Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about depth perception. Depth perception actually is defined as your ability to recognize distances and three-dimensionality. What's cool about depth perception is we know that it develops in infancy. And the way we know that it develops in infancy is they did this really cool experiment where they took babies that could crawl, because you have to have babies that can actually move, and they engineered an experiment where the babies would look like, or it would be perceived as though they would fall. So here's kind of a better look at it. They put the infants on this table here, and they had a checkered tablecloth underneath it. And then the table, as you can see, still continues here, but the checkered tablecloth drops off. So an infant looking down would look as though it was going to fall off. And they had the mom over here encouraging the infant to crawl towards her with their favorite stuffed animal or toy or whatever. And what they found is that the infants wouldn't do it. They started to hesitate. So we know that at that point in time they have depth perception. Could it develop earlier than that? It could, but because infants don't have the ability to crawl prior to that, we don't really have any way of testing whether or not it's actually developed. So there are several different ways, in which we judge depth. Some of them only require the use of one eye. Some of them require the use of two eyes in order to do this. So let's take a look first at your monocular eye cues. Monocular depth cues are cues that only require the use of a single functioning eye. So if your one eye is non-functional for whatever reason, you can still perceive depth. So the first thing that we look at when it comes to monocular depth cues is called relative height. In the absence of all other cues, the size of the object will be used to tell you depth. So we assume that bigger objects are nearer, or objects that are higher on the plane are further away than those that are nearer to us. We also use interposition. Interposition simply means that objects that can be seen in their entirety are closer, and objects that where the outline is interrupted are further away. So in other words, think of it like this. If I'm sitting at my desk and you look at me, you see the desk in its entirety, and you see only part of me. The part of me is blocked because of the desk. Therefore, you know that the desk is closer to you than I am. The next monocular depth cue are light and shadows. So we assume that objects that are brighter are closer than objects that are not nearly as bright. Texture density gradient is simply a fancy way of saying that objects that are closer to us, we are able to see in greater detail than objects that are further away. So if you're looking down the hall at someone, you might think okay, they have on a solid gray shirt. But as they get closer to you, you realize that it has a little checked design to it. Another monocular depth cue is motion parallax. This is the apparent movement of objects that occurs whenever you move your head from side to side. Nearer objects appear to move more than further objects. So pick an object that's relatively close to you, look at it, move your head from side to side, and it looks like the object moves significantly. Now pick an object that's farther away, focus on it, move your head from side to side, and the movement seems less. It's best if you can do that, if you can go outside and look at an object that's really far away to see the difference, and then also hold your hand right in front of your face and look at your finger and do it close. That's the best example of motion parallax. Another monocular depth cue is linear perspective, and this is the idea that parallel lines appear to converge in the distance. That's like railroad tracks that appear to start to come together the further away that they are. And then finally, we have relative motion. This one you can only really do in a moving car. Objects that are close to us appear to be moving in the opposite direction of us. So if you're driving down a straight highway and you look to the side, it almost looks like the farmhouse that you're passing is moving opposite of you. But objects that are further away appear to be moving in the same direction. So you can't notice that the mountain in the distance is getting any closer. We also have binocular depth cues, which are cues that are dependent upon the usage of both eyes. So unless you have to have full functionality in both eyes in order for this to work. So the first of these is convergence. Convergence is that your eyes moved inward to look at closer objects. So like, again, if you hold your finger like right in front of your face and you focus on it, you can feel your eyes kind of turning inward, if you will, in order to focus upon it. Objects that are further away, you don't have as much convergence. And then we talked earlier in this chapter about retinal disparity, and that's the fact that what your right eye sees and what your left eye sees are slightly different. And you know this, like stare at something that's a little bit further away, close first one eye and then the other, and you see that they see slightly different things. If there's a larger disparity, like the larger the disparity, the closer the object, the smaller the disparity, the further away the object is. And if you've ever seen any of those magic eye paintings, pictures, whatever you want to call them, they take advantage of both convergence and retinal disparity. If we were at school, I have like a whole book of magic eye things that you can try to look at. This one, it may not work so well because it's on a computer screen, but if you let your eyes kind of relax, you'll see various different like ocean waves. If it didn't work for you, don't worry about it. Some people can look at these things literally for like the rest of their life and never see something. Okay, so the assignment that you have is going to go back to what we learned today with monocular depth cues, as well as what you learned the other day with the Gestalt principles. And you're going to be required to take pictures around your house of two things that represent monocular depth cues, like two things are in two Gestalt principles, and then one of your choice. I'm going to attach the assignment to this. It is not, however, going to be due. I'm going to give you the rest of today, and then we meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. I'm also going to give you Monday and Wednesday to work on it, so it won't be due until Wednesday night at midnight. So all you'll have from me next week, I'll put something up on Monday and Wednesday reminding you to work on your monocular cue and Gestalt principle project. And you're going to take pictures of those. You can use your Chromebook, you can use a phone, and you're going to present it to me in a Google Slides format. That will be due for me again Wednesday night at midnight. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I miss you.